Hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with life. And today I'm hoping that we have some fun. I wanted to talk about victim thinking. That's when things go wrong in our days and we end up just for that split second thinking like a victim rather than a victor. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that. I had a couple of things that happened to me this week that I thought you would enjoy because, like everybody else, I'm just a human being. And for that split second, my mind went into victim. And then I thought we'd talk about, how did I get out of that and get back into living my life? So hi to everybody that is there. Jody, good to see you. You got back just in time. For those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin, and she went rushing up to go and do stuff this morning, and here she is back in time to do the broadcast. I'm really appreciative for that. Thank you. Who are we? Dear Mama Sal, we are a group of people who get together. It's not just me. A group of people who get together 3 times a week to talk about, on Friday lunchtimes, we talk about coping with our feelings. Friday evening, we talk about coping with life. And then on Sunday afternoon, we talk about coping with stress. Because we all have feelings, we all have a life, hopefully. There are times when I wonder, I don't know about you. And then we all have stress, and it is perfectly okay for us to acknowledge that and to know that it is okay for us to be, you know, coping with that on a daily basis, and hopefully with a bit of a sense of humor. I have to say that this was a fun week for me. It was just like, really? Have you ever had one of those weeks where you're going, really? Yeah, that was mine. However, I did see a quote, and it said, being a victim of an unfortunate event should not be confused with playing the victim. The former is not a choice. The latter can become a way of life. Do any of you know anybody that's just like a perpetual victim? You know what I mean? They seem to. I know that my mom used to have an expression, strength through misery. And I don't know if you know anybody in your life. Hopefully, you're not that person. But if you are, hopefully today will give you some ideas and thoughts about how to change that. But it's like some people seem to just do that, right? The glass is always half empty. They very rarely can sort of see their way around things. And so let's do a little bit of a refresher because we've all got life going on at the moment. And for some of us, it's getting a bit stressful. We're 2 weeks away from Christmas. And let's be honest, we've had 365 days to work on this, as we do every year. And, isn't it amazing? I must admit, I'm very proud of myself. I have feelings of great joy. I think I have 2 more local Christmas cards to go out. And the only reason they're late is because the people were late in giving me their addresses, but I do have them both now. So hopefully between the 2 broadcasts, I'll get my last 2 Christmas cards out. Remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, because if I have a gremlin, if for some reason I can't do a broadcast or whatever, that's where I would announce it. And, I just had to give a heads up to Jody to let her know that we have an extremely high wind and rain warning for this afternoon. And I said, if I suddenly get nuked, can you make sure everybody knows why? So Jody, thank you for being available to do that for me. I appreciate that. Before we start the discussion, though, I would like to just give some thoughts and prayers, because we have a lot of our viewers are going through stuff at the moment. And I just wanted to start with Kimmy. For those of you who know Kimmy, she had a pacemaker installed this week. Installed, that sounds, installed sounds, yeah, but it is the right thing, right? She had a pacemaker put in to help control her heart rate, and I'm so pleased for her. I can imagine, as I'm certain you can, I can imagine how terrified she must be. There's something about them, opening you up and and putting stuff into your heart cavity, or into your chest and everything. I can imagine how terrified she must be. But the last we heard, as far as I know, Jody, is that she was through the operation and at home already. So that is great to hear. Isn't it amazing that they can do something like that? I mean, I don't know about you, but I always give thanks for the fact that we have that technology today that we didn't have, when I was born anyway. So it was said, when you complain, you make yourself a victim. So that's the first thing. If you want to know, am I a victim? Ask yourself, how much do I complain every day? Yeah. Do I spend my life complaining, or do I just accept things for how they are? Think about that. That's a pretty good indication of whether you live your life as a victim or not. And what the quote here says, leave the situation, change the situation, or accept it. All else is madness. All right? So think about that. Leave, if there's a situation where somebody is messing with your brain, leave that situation. All right? If it's something that's going on that you have the ability to be able to change it, then change the situation. And if neither of those two facts are possible, then let it go. Get on with your life, because all else is madness. It's a waste of time. And I'm pretty certain that those of you who did the work with me on some emotional intelligence stuff that we did last year, how many of you have noticed that you don't spend as much time complaining now? You just accept it and move on. And if so, then we did our job. I I also wanted to just check. For those of you who know Nyasha, she gave me an update. And I said to her, could you please give me an update? Because people are always asking. And Nyasha said, I'm so flattered by them inquiring about me. That's so sweet of them. And she named Jody, Kimmy, Jeannie, Sandy, and the others. Actually, I'm well, coping with my daily struggles. I can't say I'm good. I had an issue this week, but it's all sorted out. And I'm back to sort of being okay. Many blessings to all of them. So I thought you guys would like that. I did get permission to share that. And also, I haven't had an update from Erin, but I'm pretty certain that I will get one during the course of the weekend. So, if you remember, she had a kidney stone zapped, if you like. And so that's good to know. If there are any birthdays this week, please let me know. The only ones that I know that are coming up are Sam's birthday. If any of you remember Sam. Anyway, Sam's birthday on the 19th. And then, of course, we've got Jesus's birthday on the 25th, and Yvonne's. I always think she keeps such good company. For those of you who know my friend Yvonne. And as I said, if we haven't mentioned your birthday and you've got one this week, please let us know at DearMamaSal@gmail.com so that we can add it to our birthday list. We're inclined to put on the regulars, people that come on fairly regularly. So let us know. Jody's saying, I gauge myself by seeing how much I can praise during my day. When I'm grumbling or making excuses, it's time to reset. All right? Time to reset. If you find yourself grumbling or making excuses, two good things. You definitely making excuses, I think, is another pretty good victim thing, isn't it? So, all right. Let's see what we can do with this. I just want to get my quotes up here just so that I can make it easier for me. Just bear with me a second. I couldn't do it when the doors were shut, so I need to get them up now. All right, so can I do that quickly? Let's see. No, I don't want my shopping list, people. Well, I do, but not right now. Go away. lordy, lordy. uh, and I'm laughing because you know that I have had these quotes up ready before I did the broadcast, and then I closed my laptop, and now they disappeared. It's just like, oh well, life happens. All right, so how about this? It said, no matter what life throws your way, no matter how unfair it may seem, refuse to play the victim. Refuse to be ruled by fear. Refuse pessimism and negativity, and refuse to quit. Be a warrior and work through whatever life throws your way with courage, love, and positivity, and continually push forward, because you are a survivor of the unfairness of life. You are stronger than you think, and you are capable of achieving far more than you believe. Yes, you are capable of far more than you believe. And so as we talk about this, you will see that I had a week of, yeah, right, I have to remember these things, or I choose to remember these things because I don't have to. First of all, let me just make sure that we acknowledge the fact that a victim is somebody, I'm not making light of anybody who's a true victim. And that would fall into the category of a person who has been harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, an accident, or other event or action. Now, we all agree, right, that that's a true victim. And that we're not talking about that. We're talking about victim mentality. And so I want to just give a waiver that you all know that I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, or anything with a fancy bit of paper. What I'm going to be talking about is just my reality. And the way I always said, I've spent a life in and out of depression. And I always said, if I ever get my way out of this, I'm going to try and help everybody I know to do the same thing. And that is exactly why we do these broadcasts, because there's so many things that I learned along the way. And I kept saying, I wish I'd known that when I was 20. Right? Why did I have to wait so long to find this one out? And if any of you felt the same, that's great. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you here. So I'm going to discuss a number of things that happened to me, and hopefully some of you might add your own into this. Did any of you have any reasons to think like a victim this week, and you managed to turn it around? And if you did, give me the story so that I don't feel like I'm the only one that's a wuss. But I know I'm not a wuss. I'm just a human being. And the first thing that happened to me was this week I had another one of those ocular migraines. That means a really serious headache, but what it does is it splits my vision. And so it's like somebody takes a cookie cutter and cuts my vision. I start getting, sparkly things going on, and it's really quite exciting when it happens. And the reason I know that I'm getting it is because of what happens to my vision. All right, I'll be sitting there doing something, and I'm going, oh, what's that? Because it suddenly looks like I'm looking through a cut. If you've ever looked through crystal glass and you get that prism effect, like the rainbow thing. Well, that starts to happen, and I go, oh gosh, look at that. And what brings it on? 101 things. I believe that sometimes it can be caused by stress. Basically, I'm sure that Jody will know the answer to this, but I don't. I just know I get it. The first time I got it, scared the what's it's out of me. Yes, it's interesting. Jody's saying that she gets a kaleidoscope vision. Yep. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now then, this wouldn't have been a problem normally, except this was the day I was meant to go and get my booster shot. Actually, it happened the night before. And I know from experience that if I get that ocular migraine, I'm not going to be getting in a car for at least 24 hours. And the reason is because I don't believe I'm safe to be driving a car when I've got split vision. Now, the split vision side of it doesn't necessarily last for 24 hours, but the after effects, the wooziness of it, that seems to hold on for about 24 hours. So when I got it the night before I was meant to go for my booster shot, what did I know? I immediately now, first of all, the victim thinking was, oh, that's not fair. I've waited so long for the booster and I'm going, do any of you relate to that thinking? It's not fair. you know, I probably started that conversation with a shorter word, but it was just like, it's not fair. And then I laughed and I went, it might not be fair, but it is reality. And then, the next thing is I get a choice because in life, as long as we're adults, we get a choice. And I'm going, well, now you choose. Do you want to drive with an ocular migraine or the after effects of one? Or do you want to not do that because it could be unsafe for you and others on the road? And I made the decision, no, I don't want to risk it, even though, I'm due for my booster shot. And so I immediately got online and I changed the appointment because that's what, uh, what people with emotional intelligence do. They see the problem, they analyze the problem, and then they come up with a solution. And the solution was to change the date. And so I got online, and the earliest date I could get was December the 28th. Now, was I happy about that? Not necessarily, but it's the earliest I could get. So, hello, that'll work. So, do you understand that the ocular migraine was out of my control? There was nothing that I could have done to anticipate that. It just is what it is. And therefore, wasting time on it is a waste of time. You understand the point? Yeah, complaining about it, um, spending hours talking to other people and complaining about it doesn't really change anything. And that's the other thing. Have you noticed how complainers love to waste your time as well as their own? I always love Linda in the UK. I view Linda that comes on every now and then, and she says, after being a Dear Mama Sal viewer, one of the things that she does with anybody who's complaining is if she's getting a bit bored, she says, "You've got 5 more minutes." I go, "What? You've got 5 more minutes to complain because really it's not getting you anywhere. But if that's what you want to do, I'll give you another 5 minutes." And she literally, after 5 minutes, says, "That's it. Done for the day. You can come back tomorrow and complain some more, but not today." And I did that recently with somebody who was complaining to me nonstop about something. And I said, "Hey, do me a favor. I've had enough about it today." "What?" I've had enough for today. "What are you talking about?" "Well, you've been complaining for the last 15 minutes. And quite honestly, I've had enough. So either tell me how I can help you or let's move on to another subject because this one's getting boring." Now, they didn't talk to me for 24 hours. And that was okay with me. I wondered whether they would ever talk to me again, quite honestly. But they did. But, it was just like we control how much. Do any of you have that problem where people phone you up and just complain and complain? It's like a broken record. They go on and on and on. And then every day it's another version of the same thing. Think about this. You are not helping them by listening ad nauseum, day after day after day. You're not helping them, right? What helps them is if you start asking them questions. People phone me up all the time and complain that they are sick, and I said, "Oh, what did the doctor say?" "What? What did the doctor say?" Because that's the second time you've mentioned that, and obviously it's worrying you. So I wondered what the doctor had to say about. Well, I haven't been. Well, maybe it's time that you did. Because it's bad enough that you're complaining about it. And so either do something about it, like go to the doctor, or let's move on to another subject. We get to have control of this. We don't have to be victim to somebody else's misery. Now, there is a difference between being a willing ear for somebody, all right? And even then, you get to control your side of it if you choose to see that, or you can be victim to it. It's up to you. So the other thing was that I was actually meant to go and pick up a gift that somebody had left for me at a local store. Now, I was really looking forward to picking that up. But guess what? I couldn't pick that up either. And I still haven't, because life has been in my way, as you will hear, in more ways than one this week. And I just had to let go of the guilt of that and just go, it is what it is. And I'm pretty certain the gift certificate will still be there when I eventually get there, which will hopefully be this coming week. So now here's the next thing that happened. I got a note and I want you guys to help me on this because I need help. We got notification this week that next Thursday, that's the day I do all the prep for DearMamaSal. Next Thursday, we will not have any electricity from 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You can imagine what my instant reaction was. Now, what I want you to think about was, if you had received that notification, what comes to your mind that you can repeat in polite conversation? Jody goes, yikes. Okay, so think about your day. Think about your day from 9 o'clock in the morning. What would you normally do that would require electricity? Now, I want to add to this scenario, as you tell me what is affected in your life. I want to add to this scenario that I live in a place that has a well. And if we don't have electricity, we don't have water either. So now I want you to imagine no electricity and no water. And keep your sense of humor, because then, being who I am, I wonder what the weather is going to be like that day. Because we are we're winter weather now. And I found out it's going to be the coldest day that we've had so far. Of course, that makes sense, doesn't it? So then I gave thanks, and I went, well, at least I'm going to be warm because I've got gas-fired heating. You know what I mean? I'm not electrically heated here, except for zones. I've got a couple of zones in my house where I have electric heat, just to top it up, so I don't have to heat the whole house. Just in my bathroom, I have a little ceramic heater, and where my desk is, underneath there, I have a little a gas, what do you call it, an oil-filled electric radiator, so that they just keep that area, that little area, topped up, so I don't have to heat the whole house. Jody knows me pretty well, and she's going, how do you make coffee without electricity? That's the biggest dilemma. You know something, Jody? Let's think about that, because I'd like to suggest, Jody, that you're a fairly smart cookie, and as are the rest of our viewers. So if that were the case, and you knew with warning that you were not going to have electricity on Thursday morning, and you like to have your morning coffee, what are your options? Let's get creative here. What could you do? I was thinking, to start with, I could brew some up the night before and have a cold coffee. Very cold. Now, we know that if the electricity is off, that I don't want to be opening up the fridge either. Yes, exactly, Jody. You brew it up early and then drink it iced. Well, iced would require that I open up the fridge or the freezer. Not a good idea if the electricity is off, right? Because although they say it's going to be off from 9 to 4, how do we know it's not going to be longer? So opening up the fridge or the freezer is not a good idea. That was part of my thinking. So keep going. How would we get hot coffee without electricity? Now we can do this because we're smart people. It's not like we're incapable. How would you get a hot coffee on Thursday morning if you knew you were not going to have electricity? And I kept running that by my mind, and I'm going, I'd go out and get one. Duh. I go somewhere where they hadn't had the electricity cut off and let them brew me one. Now, do I object to paying? Yeah, exactly. Jody's saying go to Dunkin' Donuts or something. I'd go to the local Starbucks myself, but yeah, whatever it is, right? But it was just like, Timmy's. Yes, exactly. Well, Timmy's don't do the lattes that I like. But so, I'd go and have a really good coffee. I'd spend the money. Warm it on a gas heater. I've got a built-in gas fireplace, but that's not a bad idea. You know something, Sharon? Thank you for that idea. What if I made coffee and left it in front of my gas fireplace? Would it work? I'll do a test run this week. Oh, thank you, Sharon. What a brilliant idea. So we agreed that I could brew up coffee, enough for the day, the night before, and then just have a series of mugs, in front of the fireplace, and let them just. Oh, that is so clever. So clever. You can see my eyes rolling. I'm thinking, what else could I do that way? Yes, Kez is saying, my thinking is fill up a thermos with coffee. And if you've got a second one with soup. Now, see, this is where brilliant ideas come in. However, Kez, that would require that I have a thermos. But could I get one by Thursday? You see, that's a very clever idea. Could I get one by Thursday? Yes, Sharon's saying, I have camped in wintertime with no electricity. That's where my mind went as well, Sharon, which was, well, hang on a second. Why don't you go out to your RV and, use the gas? I don't have an RV anymore, do I? And then I went, but think about that. How often do I lose electricity here? Fairly often. I would say a couple of times a year at least. And I'm going, what about going and getting yourself a camping stove, a little one that you have butane gas in or LP gas, that you just, you can tell what this is, right? You know what this is? This is me screwing in the bottle, where you can buy the little bottle. You don't have to have the big tank. You can just screw it. Got it? Screw in the bottle. And I was thinking, why don't I get one? Because if I use it inside, can I use it inside with good ventilation? But I can't turn the extractor fan on. But I could pop out to the deck, which is covered, and brew myself up some hot water or some soup. Now, there's part of me that immediately goes, yeah, but what damage would I do to my beautiful cookware? Hang on a second. My beautiful stainless steel pots. By the way, when I got these, they were quite expensive. When I got these, somebody said to me, whatever you do, don't put them in the dishwasher because they'll get ruined. I've probably had these 10 years at least. How ruined do they look? Because I don't hand wash them, right? I only look that clever. No, and isn't that amazing? But what I was thinking was, if I had a live flame at the bottom here, would it destroy my beautiful pots and pans? What do you think? In which case, What I'm thinking is, they look brand new, I know. What I was thinking was, if that would do, then maybe when I'm picking up the stove, I'm going to pick up a couple of really cheap camping type saucepans that I can brew water with. How many of you be really sad to see me destroy the red kettle? It's part of the scenery, right? But here was my thinking. My thinking was, what if I did that? What if I did that? What if I just went up this week to my local store that does camping equipment and just go and get maybe a single or double burner type stove that, and maybe even a plate to go over the top of them where I could then use my kettle. You know what I mean? A grill plate that I can then put stuff on. So it's the grill plate that heats up. And that means I could do breakfast on it if I wanted to. Good idea, Sal. I used to have one of those. Never regretted it. So that's it. And I'm going, if I spent, what am I thinking? Probably it's going to cost me about $150 to do all of that. Is it worth it? You see, that's the only decision. Is it worth it to me that every time there's a power cut, I can go, okay, well, I've got the ability to be able to cook. I think it's worth it. I think it's called, the emergency kit, right? That's what we have it for, emergencies. And quite often, normally we don't get warning of emergencies. But do you understand the difference between victim thinking? And then I said to myself, well, okay, that's one possibility. Because you know me, I like choices. I like to live my life with choices. And then I thought, what else could I do? What if I stay up really late, really, really late, and only go to sleep early in the morning? I wouldn't wake up until early afternoon. How many of you go, good plan? And that means that by then, the house would still be fairly warm because of my gas fireplace. I'd crank that up. And then I'd only have a couple of hours to go without. But if I still had the backup plan, that would be even better. And then I thought, well, what if I go out and get the coffee? Or even what if I went out for a long breakfast? I don't normally eat breakfast until later on. But I mean, it would be worth it, wouldn't it? What if I went shopping? And on my way, stopped in at a restaurant and had, a brunch maybe. And then went and did some shopping, which I normally don't do. But it's midweek. It's not like, the weekend. It's not, and it's during the day. So it hopefully won't be that busy. It's a bit close to Christmas. But, if I went to the malls, not the big mall, but, the strip malls, it would be, I could go and visit a dollar store or something. How much fun could I have? So can you see what I'm getting at here? I can either make this a fun thing to look forward to or the worst day of my life sort of thing. That's all in the way that we think about things. Am I making any sense here? Now, I tried to think through all the possibilities, and maybe you guys will come up with other ones. Yes, Jody said you can turn that inconvenience into a positive, a self-care day. That's a great example of not being a victim. And Sharon, knowing me well, goes, but what would shopping cost you? Yeah. Well, we're talking about probably, well, I will already have the emergency supplies because I'm definitely going to do that. What would shopping cost me? What if I gave myself a little bit? When was the last time I went out shopping? I do everything with, having it delivered now. So, yeah, if I gave myself a budget, And that's why I would go to the dollar store to see what I could find in the dollar store. I'm the only person that can actually, load up a complete cart in the dollar store without any problem at all. So I'm that, and brings me great joy. So what would it cost me? Probably, probably $100 or so. Yeah. But would it be worth it? Excuse me. You see, get a sense of humor. But nice thought, Sharon. I love it. Right, Sharon saying my self-care day on Wednesday cost me $500. Yeah, I totally understand that. So, and it's dangerous. You know me well, right? It's dangerous. So that's why I would be careful. Kez is saying, could you get even cheaper camping items from Walmart, Target, Lowe's, etc.? What about going to the library and do Friday live stuff? Oh, that's a brilliant idea. All right, I could actually take my laptop with me. Great thinking, Kez. When I go to eat, I could actually take my laptop with me and work on Friday's broadcasts while I'm having food somewhere. That's a brilliant idea. Thank you, Kez. And I was thinking of going to Walmart or something similar. Canadian Tire we have as well. But, I was thinking of going to one of those stores to pick up I wasn't thinking of spending more than about $100 on the camping stove. I reckon that would be an investment because it's an emergency supply thing that I need anyway. And what I would do is get a couple of bottles, and I would get the bottle I need and one backup because I like to do that. So, but a great idea. I could go to the library. I'm not going to, but I could. Good. Keep thinking like that. You see, when you get a sense of humor, it's amazing the things that creatively you can come up with. How about this one? It says, stop being a victim and waiting for somebody else to open up an opportunity for you. True. It's up to us to create opportunities, not for somebody else to bring you one. Now then, I've got two friends of mine who sadly will spend their first Christmas without their loved ones. And my heart breaks for them because there's nothing that is going to make that easy. Nothing. And so what I decided was I don't know what they need from me as their friend at this time. True, I don't know. And I'm not going to guess what they need because that's not the sort of friend I am. So I wrote to them both and said, I know that this next couple of weeks is going to be really difficult for you. And I would like to know what I can do to make it easier. And I said, would it make it easier if I give you the space you may well need? In other words, not everybody needs to be cheered up. Some people need the space to be able to grieve. Or would you like a distraction? And would you like to go out for a meal? Or so I gave lots of options. And then I let it go. Does that make sense? I have done what I can. I have acknowledged that I as a friend, I know that this is going to be a tough time. I have said that I care about that, and I care about it enough to do something about it that suits them. Right? I don't presume that I know what they need because I don't. And interestingly enough, one of my friends wrote back and said, actually, we're leaving town on Friday. We're getting out of town. And I thought, boy, that's clever. Right? That's a total distraction. They're going to go down to the States and do something. So that's a really, and that told me, and I said, great. Any way that we can touch base, for a quick telephone call or a Zoom or something. So think about that, right? It's not that I I don't know what to do. It is that I don't know what to do, and I'm smart enough to actually ask them what to do. And it's amazing when you do that. I'm amazed how many people say, you're already doing it, Sal." And I go, "What? You're already doing it. You're not presuming what I need. You're already asking what I need and giving me the choice to not see you at all, if necessary. And, that you will still be my friend." So think about that, all right? It's like, I know they love me. I I know it's not about whether they like me or not. It's got nothing to do with it. It's about what did they need at this time. I think for any of us that have been through loss of a dear one, it is the first year is the worst because it's the first birthday without them, the first Christmas without them, the first Easter without them, the first Valentine's Day without them, the first, it goes on and on. But the firsts are the most difficult ones to cope with. They're all difficult. You'll never, ever get over it. But it's that first year that is really the most difficult. So be aware of not allowing your friends to be a victim this time of the year either. How about this? Stop blaming and start being. We attract what we are. We attract who we are. If you don't like something in your life, look only at who you are. Who you are is because is why you choose the friends and situations you have in your life, right? Who you are is why you choose poorly or fail to choose wisely. Stop being a victim. How many of you understand that? Know of what I speak. Last week, I was talking to you about the fact I was feeling lonely. All the 2 years ago, I moved into this house. I was just about finished unpacking when the fire happened. And for those of you who don't know, I then literally had to pack everything in the house up again. Well, I didn't, other people did. Had to pack everything that was left in the house after the fire up and then go and be displaced for 6 months over Christmas last year, if you remember this time last year. And then I got back in March and I'm just about finished unpacking again. And, it's been a difficult year. And I can either choose to be a victim of that or not. And I thought it was so nice when Benji was here last week, because he came to visit me. Thank you. And it was so funny because I was saying, well, everything's now pretty well unpacked except for the boxes that are left in the studio. And I said, and the reason they're not unpacked yet is because I refuse to unpack another box until I've got somewhere to put the stuff. And then what I do, as some of you know, what I do is I unpack one box and I put it on top of my freezer. Right? And I'm not allowed to touch another box until everything that is in and around my freezer from the previous box has been put away. And I am now down to those boxes that have got the crud in it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? All the easy boxes basically have gone. And now some of them are even labeled stuff. And now that's not a good thing. When the best definition of what was in that box, when the best thing I could think about was to write stuff, that needs sorting, and chances are most of that stuff needs to go in the garbage. But here is the thing, as I was explaining to Benji, when you've got a garbage can that's about the size of, how big's my garbage can? About half my stove. For garbage. It's about half the size of the stove, not as deep, but that's the width of it. And then it only gets to go out once every 2 weeks. So, there's a limit to how much I can hack out of here. So I've now learned to just take things slowly, which is actually quite nice. Shannon Alder said, "You are only a victim to the degree of what your perception allows." In other words, you're only a victim to based on how you see things, all right? If you see things differently, I can choose to see Thursday as a terrible day, or hey, that's the day I'm going to go out and have a meal. It's the day I'm going to go shopping if I want to. I can spend time at the by the way, I can sleep in as long as I like and not feel guilty. Because how many of you are going, there's the opportunity that I could actually just stay curled up on the couch, because that's where the fireplace, on the couch. Could I binge watch all day long? That's another option. All day long being, maybe 4 hours if I sleep really late. Could I do that? How many of you going, that's another idea, Sal? And now that I've worked out ways to get warm food, because we got that one covered, if I want it, and the fact I can use my fireplace as a mug warmer. I think that's brilliant, Kaz. I'm so glad that you added that. It's just like, okay, how many of you going, yeah, but your laptop would run out. Now, listen, think about this. I've got more than one laptop. But wait. If I don't have electricity, I don't have Wi-Fi. Or do I? No. Okay, so that would mean that I need to download stuff into my computer, right? Or what if I download a book onto my computer? So I could be snug as a bug in a rug reading a book for the afternoon if I didn't feel, if it's a really horrible day and I don't feel like driving. That's a possibility. Keep those ideas coming, people. So as you know, oh, by the way, the reason I was talking about Benji's idea, Benji said, well, you've always said that everybody should have at least one extra room in where they live and use it as a storeroom, because so many people spend $250 a month for a locker somewhere when they could spend way less than that if they bought a place with an extra room. And just, most of the storage lockers are 10 by 10. Most extra bedrooms are about 10 by 10. It's cheaper to actually just get a slightly bigger place to live. I've always wondered why people do that. He said, Sal, the truth is you can just close this door. And I said, yeah, but it actually doesn't worry me. I look at it every day and it doesn't really worry me. But it was a good point, right? Which is, hey, it'll get unpacked when I'm good and ready. So I look at it and go, I talked last week about the feeling of loneliness. And what I said to you all, this is on me. All right. I've now finished all the major stuff with the insurance and the fire and everything like that. I have now finished most of the unpacking, and that's given me time to feel again. And we're talking about coping with feelings. And can you understand that that's what's happening to me? I've got real feelings coming up again. I'm not in survival anymore. And so I was not surprised that came up. But what I realized was that was a feeling that I was having. I was beginning to get lonely. I hadn't seen anybody for a while. And the funny thing was, seeing Benji brought that to the fore, how much I had missed that. And so what I said last week was, well, this is now on me. All right. I am not going to sit and complain because I haven't seen my friends or anything. I'm going to make sure that I do. So I've been on a mission this week. As you know, I like to make things fun. So I've been on a mission this week to see how well I can do. And Dougie called me. We were discussing US politics, but Dougie called me, and then he said to me, by the way, Mum, he said, what would you like for Christmas? And I said, oh, I'm not allowed to buy you presents, but now you want to know what do I want for Christmas? And he said, well, it doesn't have to be a present. I said, okay, fine. I'd like a commitment. And he said, what? I said, I'd like a commitment. That's what I'd like for Christmas. And he said, a commitment for what? And I said, that you will come and visit me face to face at least once every season next year. Now, do I think he probably does that anyway? Yes, but I said to him, at least once a season. And I also want permission that if you, for any reason, don't do that, that I can nag you. And I said, do you think that would be fair? And he laughed and he said, totally. And I said, okay, fine. That would be what I would like for Christmas. Now, that is, if you think about it, that is 4 visits next year from Dougie. You see, because what I worked out is if I went to all my friends and said to them, I'd like you, do you think you could visit me once a season? I'd probably get quite a few people visiting me, wouldn't I? I just got to span them out a bit. Does this make sense to anybody? So then Yvonne called me and I said, oh, she didn't call me. We text. She texted me and I said, we're overdue for a get together. She said, I was thinking the same thing. And I said, okay. So we decided we get together on Saturday. Another step forward. And then, because I'm evil, I said, Vonnie, I just want to be clear. This is not our Christmas get together, is it? Because, we always get together after Christmas. When I say we get together normally after Christmas to exchange gifts and things, we like that because we can re-gift things if we want to, or we can, we just make it a big fun day. And so I said, we agree that this Saturday isn't the Christmas get together, right? So now I've got 2. I've got this Saturday, and then again, I think it's on the 28th or something on the 27th. Oh no, 28th is the booster. 27th is when I'm seeing Yvonne. My calendar is getting booked up. But can you see I'm making it fun now? This is like fun stuff. It's and if I can't get to see them, like the one that's going out of town, if I can't get to see them face to face, at least I can Zoom them. You know what I mean? It's like, hello, I've got to put in some effort here. Let me stop being lonely. And I'm not that lonely anyway. But, but I do realize, and I was talking about that last week, that if I don't do something about it, it could become a problem. And something that at my age is not healthy. And, I realize, as I'm sure you do, that this whole thing about the pandemic has had an effect on how much we see people. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that the pandemic has had an effect on how much you physically see people? So it is up to us individually to say, this is not good for my mental health. I will become too isolated. I'll get used to it. And then I will become a hermit. I think I could do that quite easily. And I won't like it. And I don't want to do that. Now, does that mean I have to put myself at risk? There was part of me that thought about going out for lunch. It could be a bit of a risk with this new variant. And I'm going, something? Just because you haven't had the booster yet, you were doing fine until you thought you had to have the booster as well. So just get over it. How about this? Stop validating your victim mentality. Shake off your self-defeating drama and embrace your innate ability to recover and achieve. That's Steve Maraboli. I like that guy. I agree with him. How many of you have the pleasure or not to know a drama queen, right? Everything's a drama. And you sort of, I don't know about you, but occasionally when they're not watching, I roll my eyes and it's just like, boy, I wonder if they know how much of a drama queen they are. So, mind you, if you listen to my stories every week, you probably think I am one too. But I always believe in telling the stories because I want everybody to know it's not just you guys, right? It happens to me as much as it happens to you. And you can imagine, I had the ocular migraine. I had to cancel my booster shots. You know, and then the whole thing about what am I going to do about the not having electricity. So, you look at it and go, this is up to us to make changes, not for other people. If you're waiting for other people to do stuff, you're being a victim because they probably never will. Oh, Jeannie, good to hear. Jeannie's saying that she's just come home from York's eye appointment. How's he doing? For those of you who don't know, her husband York had LASIK eye surgery last week. Good to hear that, Jeannie. And Jeannie, I was telling the story that I still haven't picked up the gift card, and I'm not going to repeat why. You can hear it if you want to hear the front end of this broadcast. But believe you me, it was for a good reason. But I'm thinking about doing it maybe on Thursday because I might be going out on Thursday. So do you understand that I have been looking at things and not complaining about them, but rather seeing how can I turn them around? Right? How can I turn this lemon into lemonade? And if you can do that, then you are what you gotta laugh. You know what I just did? Okay, just you've got to get a sort of mental picture of where I am at the moment. I've got a laptop here that I'm talking to. I've got another laptop below it where I've got some notes on it, and I've got a tablet here where I've got some quotes. All right, so just so you know, I'm technically challenged. What I keep doing is picking up this mouse, which controls the the laptop that you can't see. Well, you can't see any of the laptops, right? Instead of picking up Pinky, and I keep looking at this screen and trying to manipulate it with this mouse. How many of you go, that doesn't work, Sal? So if every now and then you see me sort of go, you know that I've done it again. All right. Okay, so Jeannie's saying he had a large cataract, so there's still a little bit of swelling. The next eye, the right one, will be done on the 23rd. Wow. Why would they do it so close to Christmas? Because they can. And helps their cash flow. I mean, let me think. How many reasons can I think of? But I don't know about you. I mean, that's not what I would want to do just before Christmas. But maybe he does. Interesting. So excuse me. Jeannie, so you're going to have more playing Florence Nightingale stuff that you don't enjoy over the Christmas time. Yeah, just a bit more stress. Good idea. But it is what it is, so I'm sure you'll deal with it. This is another quote from Steve Maraboli. He said, your complaints, your drama, your victim mentality, your whining, your blaming, and all your excuses have never gotten you even a single step closer to your goals or dreams. Let go of your nonsense. Let go of your delusions that you deserve better and go and earn it. Yeah, I've always said that to people. Think about this. If you if you are complaining because you don't know enough people, then what have you done about it this week? All right, because complaining about it means you're a victim. But if you've done something about it, if you've joined a club, if you've decided to join an indoor tennis group, or you've decided to join the local bird watchers association, I don't know, but you've done something to get yourself around people where you have the opportunity to meet people and therefore hopefully make friends. That's what cold coffee tastes like. That means that you are not a victim. That means you are doing something about it, right? Don't complain about it. Do something about it. If you have, as we said, if you have aches and pains and they're bad enough that you are complaining about them to everybody, then it's time to see a doctor, right? Do something about it. Now, I must admit that I've been having a little bit of a challenge recently because I found out, to my horror, I found out that Werther's, that for some reason their candies are not spiking my blood sugar the way that they should for the amount that I've been eating. And that, in a way, is a bad thing, right? Because I've got to have my A1C taken next week. And there's part of me that thought, well, maybe you could delay it by another month. And I'm going, if I wait for another month, that'll be Christmas. All the Christmas eating will be in there as well. So I might as well just bite the bullet and go. So wish me luck, people. I just got to put my big girl pants on and go and get the test done, knowing that I may fail it. Kez is saying, I had an ex-friend who would play victim card by blaming other people for making her angry and ranting, and then instead of thinking how she could calm herself down. You know something, Kez? We've all been there. And, I've been that person. Quite honestly, I have been that person. Have any of you? It's just like, boy, when I got dumped by a guy. Yeah, I've been that person. Did it make any difference? No. Wow, Jeannie's saying, you remember she had that problem with her, she had a problem with that electrician that she had. She's saying that the local municipality found the name of her electrician, and her husband called, and he came over the same day, right? He put in not one, but 3 arc fault breakers. Yay! Everything is much better now. I'm so glad to hear it. He and our builder had a fight and the builder fired him. Yes, absolutely. That's below code. I am so pleased for you. You know something, though? I got to give you credit, Jeannie, because you didn't quit on this one. Right. The electrician was happy to help us and did not ask for any more money. So, that's the whole thing. You didn't play victim to it. You just knew you deserved better and kept on until somebody listened to you. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. It's like, that is not a waste of time. That was your safety that was at risk there. And good for you. I'm proud of you. You can choose between being a victim of destiny or an adventurer who is fighting for something important. And I think that describes you, Jeannie, that you were fighting for something important, your safety. Yeah, and Jeannie is saying it was the builder who was the bad guy. So it's not about blame, is it? It's about just like, okay, let me be safe. And let me do whatever needs to be done so I can be safe. Well done. I'm so proud of you. And for those of you who have been through tough times, and I know a lot of my viewers have, I like this one. It said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Right? It's not over. Every day, how many of you know that? Every day we get to choose whether to be a victim or not. All right? Every day we get to choose whether to be a victim or not. And sometimes, many times a day. And it's not just you, it is all of us. All right? And we make a conscious decision not to go there. If we are emotionally intelligent, we just go, okay, that's a problem. What am I going to do about it? Oh, I don't feel like it. Doesn't matter whether you feel like it. What are you going to do about it? Because it's not going to go away unless you do something. So So I look at it and go, let's think about this. All right, let's think about how we deal with these things. Did any of you have any feelings of joy this week? Obviously, Jeannie had feelings of joy that she's got much safer electrical system than she had before. Did anybody else have feelings of joy? I definitely have to tell you that we had a snowfall, and I knew that I was going to need to go out and shovel the snow. Not my favorite job. Now, I had to choose whether to go under the house and get out my snowblower. I've got a little snowblower. It's like a vacuum cleaner. It works really well. But it was only like about half an inch to an inch, about an inch of snow. So, and it was brand new, so it was, not going to be too heavy. And so what I thought was, no, I actually could do with the exercise. You see, I looked at it as an exercise program. Resistance, work is always good. And walking is always good, right? So I now look at these things as exercise, and like leaves, raking up the leaves is now exercise for me. I don't look at it as, oh, I've got to go and rake up the leaves. I go, what's my exercise for today? Oh yeah, leaves. So I went out, but the reason I had great joy, how many of you remember that I actually invested in a pair of work boots this year? Because last year I was shoveling snow and wearing my runners. And so this year I said, I don't want to do that again. I want a pair of, like hiking boots, good quality hiking boots that I can have a good grip on them, that I can go and do stuff in the snow. I mean, I've got fancy boots, my UGG type boots and things like that, but I'm talking about ones that, work boots I can do work in. And so I got to put on my work boots, which I had already worn in over, the time that I had them. I've been, making sure that they're properly worn in before the winter. So I put them on and I went and shoveled the snow. And I've got great news for you. They not only, did I not get blisters, but also they were solid on the snow. I didn't slip once. And they did exactly what I wanted them to do. So I'm a very, very happy camper. For those of you who were with me last week when I got my new air fryer, I'll be talking obviously a bit more about it this evening when we do our cooking segment. But I did something last night that I was very fearful of, but I knew I needed to do sooner or later, and that was, can I cook a steak on my air fryer? Now, you're probably going, of course you can, so. And I'm going, yes, but you see, I am here. The air fryer is underneath here, and my smoke alarm is just 10, 50, 20 feet away from me, right there. So the idea of cooking a steak with fat and it coming out of the air fryer and setting off the alarm. Yeah, you can all imagine. I'm very sensitive to the smoke alarm now. And this one is more sensitive than my previous one. So can you all understand that I was somewhat fearful of cooking a steak? Now, I did think about taking the air fryer and putting it under the extractor fan above my stove. And I thought, that's ridiculous. I've got to learn to do this in a way that works. And so what I did was I got brave. And it cooked the most beautiful steak. I got to say, it really did. I did put on the extractor fan so that any smoke would go that way, hopefully, rather than that way. But other than that, that's all I did. And it didn't, touch wood, it didn't set off the alarm. Can any of you imagine how happy I was? All right, so Jeannie's saying when I cook something in my oven, I must put the fan or the alarm rings. Yes, that's right. So this is like, I think the fire alarms, the new ones are more sensitive than the old ones, Jeannie. My old one would allow me to do a lot more than this one does. So Jeannie also had a fire in her house, if you guys are wondering. So she and I have new fire alarms. This is from Steve again, and he said, "Today is a new day. Don't let your history interfere with your destiny. Let today be the day that you stop being a victim stop being a victim of your circumstance and start taking action towards the life that you really want. You have the power and the time to shape your life, to break free from the poisonous victim mentality and embrace the truth of your greatness." See, are you constantly thinking about how to do that? One of the things I was talking about was, when I'm having dinner with Yvonne on Saturday, she was saying that Wade couldn't be there until 7:15 because he's on working late. And I said, no, that's fine. She said, but how about we meet up at 6? So we can have our executive meeting, the two of us. And then Wade will come and we'll have dinner. So, I'm really, how many of you can see the fun in that? All right, which is, okay, we can get the girl talk done. But, one of the things I was thinking about was, it's all about how we deal with these things and how we choose to see them as fun or not. And we control our destiny if we keep making good choices. Right? Now, I could have chosen to only see Yvonne at 7:15, where I wouldn't be having the same conversation with her because Wade would be there, that I would if we meet at 6, because at 6 I can really tell her the truth, right? Because I've got time and we can discuss it. It's just like, can you see the difference? It's like it was. I was so excited, and I'm really looking forward to it. And guess what? I'm telling her, do I have a commitment to have you come visit me at least once a season? Right, it's another 4. And then I'm going to say, and how about I come and visit you once a season? Right? Right? And so I'm sort of filling up my calendar now. Going back to the cooking the steak, can you understand why that was terrifying in some ways, and yet it worked really well in other ways? And by the way, I for some reason, it's it's been cooking really well. But there were a couple of questions that I had that confused me. And what I decided to do was I wrote to customer service, and I haven't got a reply back yet. But I've asked them a couple of technical questions because I can, and I don't want to worry about it. I want to get the right answers for it. Now, is it possible that I may need to send this thing back? I hope not, but it's possible. But, we will see. So, when you look at your life, what areas are you how many of you are feeling victim to Christmas being just 2 weeks away? How many of you are beginning to resent that even? Because if so, join a long list of people that will, be there with you. I am pretty pleased with how I paced myself this year. I am now down to, as I said, 2 Christmas cards that have to go out, and then just wrapping. Jody's saying it makes sense that the fire alarm would be triggered. Yes, so glad you did the experiment. I wanted to do that experiment, Jody, but not live, because I think the fire alarm going off would frighten a lot of people. And that's what I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to do that. Does that make sense? But it does mean I have to have the overhead fan going whenever I use it. Yeah. I must admit that I am pretty happy. And I was reading as well that, that can I do the same sort of things I do in my halogen? And yes, they say that I can cook from a frozen roast in the air fryer as well. Yay. Oh, that was another thing I did. And listen to this one, because you know a lot about me, but Dougie's coming to visit me the Wednesday of before Christmas. And by the way, I have been invited to dinner at my neighbor's for Christmas Eve. We're going to do carol singing first, and then we're going to have dinner. And so what I wanted to warn you is there will not be a broadcast on Christmas Eve. I've got to decide whether to do one at lunchtime on Christmas Eve or not, but I will work that out. What I might do, though, is throw one in on Christmas Day or on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. And we'll see. But that's probably the Sunday. We'll work it out anyway. But just to give you a heads up that I won't be available. Yeah, we like the carol singing. This time I'm taking my own light with me, because last time I don't know all the words to the carols, and I love them. I know the first verse, but after that I'm totally lost. I don't sing them enough. Now, I wanted to give you another thing that brought me great joy this week. Hold on. I did an unboxing. I bought myself a set of 4 of these. And the reason is that I realized that in my living room, it's getting pretty cluttered with things, all right? I'm inclined to do my accounts when I'm binge watching things. Do any of you know that thing where, I can sort through and so forth while I'm, watching another, eligible prince marry, the commoner. Or, that's what I'm inclined to do. Or I'm inclined to do my sewing in the living room while I'm watching something. What else do I have? My accounts, my sewing. Then I've got all the cables and things, all right? Because I've got cable for my computers, my phone, my tablet. They're all there, and it's beginning to look like a wire farm. So what I thought was, I need a box with a lid on it. Most of my cubies don't have lids on them. But I want a box with a lid on it. And what I did was I put the extension cord through there, the lead, right, through the extension cord in, and then plugged it in. I know Jodi's going to love this. And then what I did, okay, if you can imagine that I plug this into the extension cord in there, plug in, and then I fed the leads back out. Clever? All the untidy looking stuff is now contained in here. And I've got 3 leads that come out, but you can't see that they're all different sorts of leads and whatever. They're just 3 leads that come out. Clever? I thought so. It looks so much neater. And then I can throw all the remotes and everything else in there as well. Oh, that's the other thing. Yes, I've got. Hi there, Sandy. Good to see you. So I've got one with the remotes in it and my blood pressure cuff and stuff like that. So I bought a set of 4. And once the Christmas tree is gone, I will just literally line them up at the end of my living room. But it really, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put one either end of my coffee table, and I've got one over there. Yeah, anyway. But don't you think that's clever? So it just looks so much neater. Even I was impressed, Jodi. And I must admit that when I did it, I went, oh, Jodie's going to love that one. So, but they're nice. They are nice cubies. You know what I mean? They are nice material and they've got good solid handles to them. So I was really happy with it. Now I've got to plug this back in again. So that was a really fun thing to do. For those of you who've been watching me do those little houses that I've been doing for Christmas cards. Hang on. I think you will remember that they were taking me about 4 hours to do. Okay, and now I want to tell you, I'm almost in production of them now. You see this? Here they go. I did 4 of them in an evening. And that included cutting them out and weeding them, and putting them together. But now I'm getting crafty. All right. I now have got things working well enough that in the morning, actually what I do is in the morning, I cut out a couple. And then during the day, I will cut out another couple. And then I realized that if I let go of having to do them all at the same time, it's a good thing. And then what I do is while I'm watching television, I weed them. Now that means that I've got to be careful in my living room because it's going to make a big mess, but I can do that. But that's what I do. And because let's be honest, that is mindless work trying to get all those bits out. And there are a number of times, how many of you can understand that there are a number of times when I'm doing that and you look at the detail in there. Oh, look at that. I missed one. Go figure that. Hang on. If I don't deal with that right now, it's going to be there. Oh, that's what I need. Oh. Thank you so much for being patient. But, it's just like, you can imagine how long it takes to get all those little bits, right? There's so many little bits to it. This is amazing. And how many times do I get halfway through it and I think, why don't I just buy a card? And you go, no. And what I did, and I probably told you about this, but what I've done is I've sent them like this with a little insert that's loose. And the insert says, I'm putting this insert in so that I didn't have to write on the card, so that you can keep it as a Christmas decoration or use it as a Christmas card next year for somebody else. So when you think about it, how for those of you who've been watching me learn how to do this, I started off spending 4 hours to make one, and now I can basically make one an hour. Why? Why? Because I spent the time learning how to do it. Why? Because I found the right blades to cut through it. You know what I'm saying? It's not by chance. But I still want to remind you that it's not the quickest way to send Christmas cards. Going to the store, spending $10 and sending Christmas cards is the quickest way. But these, to me, are part of my Christmas present, right? I'm hoping that they show that they were made with love. And I was so excited this week, another feeling, great excitement. 2 of my cards got into the States. I sent them, when did I send those? 2 weeks ago? So 2 of them have already arrived. I know Jodie's got hers. And I know my sister has got hers. Now, the interesting thing was Jody cracked up because she forgot that she had said to me last year, I don't. Anyway, she had seen a card that I did last year, and she raved about it and said, please, please, next year, can I have that one? And so I did. The first card I made was Jody's because I knew exactly which one she wanted. And then she was surprised when she got it. And I said, why are you surprised? You asked for it, you silly so-and-so. So, duh. Okay, so Sandy's saying the satisfaction of doing it yourself. Yes. And the satisfaction, Sandy, of realizing how incredibly clever this is. Can you imagine? Can you see the little snowman here? I was thinking, I could take that little snowman, just that section there, and blow it up and use it in my window if I wanted to. I did 2 of these in my big bay windows. That they're sort of like this size. They look so good. But it's like there's so many different ways that you can use them. I might try that one time. I could actually have my machine draw this picture. Yeah. Oh, that's so cute. Jody's saying, we love it. This is the card that I sent. We love it so much. Opening the card was pure joy. Did I put lighting behind it? Not yet, because I haven't found my battery-powered lights yet. But I will. It might be next year. I know I've got some somewhere, but I haven't found them yet. But it's a great idea. I must admit, it's a really great idea, and I'm very happy with it. But can you understand, again, this is a choice, right? And, Sandy, you are somebody who is so creative. And it's quite funny how I think of you a lot while I'm doing stuff. I know a couple of my viewers are very creative, and it doesn't matter whether I'm having a problem or that it works. I think about you guys because I think it takes a creative person to understand why we would spend so much time. And that house thing, I saw that a long time ago. And I remember being so excited when I saw it, and I said, that would make such a cute Christmas card. And I decided to buy the pattern. And I'm so glad that I did. It gave me so much joy. After I wasted all that paper getting it wrong, and then the wrong blades and the wrong everything else, and then but it's like everything's easy to do once you know how to do it, right? And so to me, it's about every year I challenge myself a little bit more. By the way, for those of you who want to know, I have still to find the what was it? The vanilla that we made, the vanilla essence. I still haven't found that box. It might be on the second round that I find it, but I don't know what happened to it, but I still haven't found it. So nobody's getting that this year. It's interesting. Sandy's saying, I never felt I was creative, but now that I have the tools to do things, I'm having so much fun with it. Yeah, I think there is that part of you, Sandy, and for those of us, Jody is another creative. Isn't it funny that we do it to relax, and yet we constantly are upgrading the challenge? Think about that. I know that when I first had got my machine, I've got a die cutting machine. When I first got that machine, I was so happy to be able to put words. I think one of the first things I did was this mug. All right. Now it isn't straight, but think about that. I was so excited. And what was this? 5 years later, it's still there. Um, and it goes in the dishwasher every day. So I look at it and go, how excited was I to do that? Very. And then I went, but I want to do different things now, and I'm constantly upgrading the challenge. And Sandy, I'm certain that you do too. And one of the things I had to agree with you with, Sandy, which is if you end up doing things like this, the one thing you get to collect is a lot of card stock. And what I realized, Sandy, is I'm going to stop buying the bulk card stock of multicolors. I've probably got enough multicolors to last me for the next 10 years. I am now only going to buy the colors I actually want. I wonder if that makes sense. For example, I bought a pack of red for Christmas. Sharon, how exciting. Sharon saying, I'm finally turning my third bedroom into a craft room. Yeah. And, you will be horrified, as I was, just how much stuff we've got. Sandy's saying, I did that last year. I bought a bunch of the multicolored or just the colors you wanted. And, I bought extra this year because I couldn't find my stuff that I already had packed. And now I found those as well. So, I've got enough cardstock to keep me going quite a while. The other thing is now, Sandy, what I want to do is to find things to do with craft paper, because obviously I need to find some things to make with them. So I think it's very exciting. And I do really recommend that you all find something to do this winter for those of you who are in the Northern Hemisphere. It doesn't matter whether it's a crossword, a jigsaw puzzle, or something that uses your creative mind. Because these long, dark nights, as opposed to bright, sunny days, we're moving into the longest day on the 21st, right? And once that, we can head to spring. It's my favorite day of the year is December the 21st. I know it sounds strange, but I just go, we're heading into spring. I get such feelings of joy. Okay, so you put the boys together, and now you're going to have that bedroom. I think it's really important to have a room that you can retreat to, if you've got a family. I personally, one of the questions that that Benji asked me was, had I considered downsizing the space? And I looked at him and said, what? And he said, well, you've got, a lot of space here. You've got a very big master bedroom. You've got a spare bedroom eventually, which is a storeroom at the moment. You've got this huge area that you've got for your crafts, and then you've got the rest. Have you thought about going down in space? And I said, no, no, honey. It's the reason I bought this. It's because it's got space and light. And he said, but why do you have light when you've got the blinds down? I said, it's got light even when the blinds are down. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So, you look at it, and yes, Sandy's saying our house is very open. All right. I agree. And it's just like, I love the open plan of this house as well. All right, here we go. Kez is saying, I've just realized that by changing my thinking helps me stop victim mode. Joy, realizing how close to seeing my sister next week. Last time I saw her was last Christmas and Christmas Day. And to see my pregnant niece for the first time in 3 years. Yes, it's going to be a Christmas where we get to see people again. And that can be very exciting, but for some people it can be very stressful. You've been able to do without that person that really rubs you the wrong way. And, I want you to think about that. What if this was the last Christmas you got to see them? Would you want to waste your time complaining about them, or would you want to spend your time maybe finding out more about them and what makes them as cranky that they, that as they are? Um, I deal with a lot of people that are very close-minded, and I keep reminding myself, you know, um, they don't know any better. It's not that they're stupid. They just haven't spent the time and effort researching things the way that you do. So don't hate them for it. It's not of interest to them, but it is to you. So I look at it and go, it's a very important mentality to have, is to not judge not, for you will be judged, right? And I know that people judge me. I've got one friend who's threatening to come and visit me, which you'd think would be a good thing. The only thing is, it's my most judgmental friend. and, and I'm going, oh, I just know what he's going to pick on. And, I can choose to be upset by that or just go, well, yeah, hope it gives him pleasure. Um, all right, so this is interesting. I just seeing a note here from Kimmy. And she said she went in on Wednesday to get the pacemaker, stayed in ICU overnight. So far, I'm doing well. I've had to learn to take it easy. She also said her arm is in a sling, so she doesn't move and dislodge the leads in the pacemaker. Right? That's why everything is healing. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you for letting me know that. Most people want to make you responsible for the way that they feel. The victim look ain't a pretty one, baby. Right? And how many of you call people out when they're being a victim? Right? And I did it. I called somebody out on something not so long ago, and I have really realized that that person didn't take it well. They didn't take it well because I told them a truth, and they didn't like the truth. I think that's one of the great conversations I always have with Yvonne. And Yvonne always thanks me. She said, Sal, if I had to thank you for so many things, one of them is that you taught me to deal with the truth. And that it was okay to deal with the truth. And it might not be pretty, but at least it's truthful. And so when somebody says to me, oh, but I don't judge, I go, actually, yeah, you do. And they go, no, I don't. And I go, oh, yeah. I've heard you judge a lot of people, and that makes me pretty sure that when I'm not here, you're judging me as well. So it's just like, how can you say you don't judge? Everybody judges. I have yet to meet anybody that doesn't judge. They may lie about it, but So to me, it's like I don't put up with it. Do I lose some people in my sphere? Yep, because of that, because I will call it for what it is. Yeah. But when I've heard you judge somebody, don't tell me you don't judge. No, that's called a lie. So, and I don't do that well. But it was so funny because, Yvonne said, it was to me, she said, it was the greatest gift to be able to learn just say, I don't like that person. And I went, yeah, you're allowed to say that. But, we are conditioned to believe that we need to love everybody. Yeah, that's not true. I have learned to tolerate a lot of people, but, it's just like, if you want to be my friend, then I will tell you the truth. To me, that's one of the definitions of what friendship is, that I'm allowed to tell you the truth as I see it. And, I'm amazed how many times I will say, you might not like this, but I really need to tell you something. And I do. How about this? Above all, be the heroine of your own life, not the victim, or a hero if you happen to be a guy. I thought that was a great one. And how many of you know that 9 times out of 10, the very things we are complaining about are things that we have created? You know, so, and that takes a sense of humor when you can see that. You know, if you got friends that really upset you, you chose them, right? And I have to say that that's one of the things I really notice in one person in my life. They spend so much time complaining about their friends, and I'm going, boy, if they spend this much time complaining about their friends, I wonder what they do with their enemies. You know, it's just like, yikes. You know, it's just like, yeah. So I think that when we look at our lives, we get to be pretty honest about them, right? We get to know that we have feelings and not all of them are pretty. Not all of our feelings are pretty. I assure you, there were times this week where when my vision started to distort and I could see the prisms going on and everything else, I can assure you I was not a happy camper. And you know, it was the night before I was due for my booster shot. That made me angry for a split second. But then I went, I'm wasting time here. Yeah, I either drive when I shouldn't be, or I change the appointment and get on with the rest of my life. And, you know, that's what I did. When I realized that, you know, cooking a steak on my air fryer was an important part of my life, when, you know, but the risk was that I could set off the fire alarms. This is called take a deep breath and do everything you can to not cause that. And I found out a couple of things. If you put water in the drip pan before you cook the steak, then the fat drops into the water and therefore doesn't vaporize, causing the smoke. That's a good thing. I also read somewhere that you can put a piece of bread in there and that will, you know, soak up the fat as well. But I think the water is better. Kez is saying, I had a few times with an ex-friend, even told her that she was being selfish. Yeah. And they got over the top angry and scared me, so I had to walk away. Yes, anger management is not something that a lot of people have control over, Kez. I saw a really nice quote. I think I shared it with everybody yesterday, where it said that your ability to walk away when you're angry, to not react, the ability to not react when somebody attacks you is the greatest skill. I can't remember what the exact quote was, but it was along those lines. If you have enough emotional intelligence that somebody can attack you and you do not need to respond to it, when you realize it's their stuff, not yours, that is perhaps one of the greatest gifts. To be able to control your temper is a great gift. Takes you know, it takes a lot of work to be able to see that anger management is a choice. Is a choice. When you realize that people, you know, like I have a neighbor of mine who verbally attacks with very nasty words. I really don't think that she realizes how damaging that is, or maybe she does. But you know, when I hear her do it, I go, how sad that she does not have control over her mind, that she lets her mind run away and hurt people like that. And you can never undo those things, right? I often say to people when I start to get triggered and start to get angry, I actually say, I need to walk away now. Because any minute now, if I carry on, I'm going to say something I could live to regret, and I don't want to. And I've even had the other person said, you go ahead and you say it. And I said, no, that my choice is not to, because I like you as a human being. And I don't want to say anything in anger that I will not be able to take back. So no, I will not tell you. I will not continue until I've got control of myself again. Well, you did it. And I go, no, you're not going to manipulate me into it either. This is my choice. Give me 48 hours to calm down, and then I promise you I will continue this conversation, but only from a place of serenity, not a place of anger. And that'll also give us 48 hours to rethink what we're thinking at the moment. And I make sure I keep that commitment, by the way. I make sure I do go back and say, okay, let's make a time that we can talk about this again. And then, the funny thing is, I quite often say to people, or perhaps you might like to write it to me. And I find that that's a really good thing, because when people have to write it, they own their stuff a lot better. Yeah, Jeannie's saying walking away is a great skill. It means one is an adult. Yes, you're not acting from a child place. That hit and run is not good either, Jeannie, right? It's not just walk away. It's walk away with grace. Do it with decency. Don't hit and run away. It's like and I do that on the phone sometimes. I can feel I'm getting angry about this, and I don't want to do that. So I just want to warn you that I'm going to close the conversation now, and I'll call you back in a couple of days, and we'll talk again. But just wanted you to know I can't carry on because I'm getting pretty upset with this. See, I'm allowed to tell my feelings. I am getting pretty upset. Not you made me upset. Yeah, that's attacking. I am getting upset. I am triggered. It's on me, not you. And I think when we can do that, when we can recognize our feelings, I know somebody said to me, "Gosh, how can you talk about feeling lonely, in front of your viewers?" And I go, because it's an important thing to talk about. We all feel lonely at times, or scared at times, or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with our feelings. It's like, own them. Feeling scared doesn't make you a wuss. Feeling scared means you're probably very smart. All right. Feeling scared that the fire alarm might go off, with my air fryer, I don't think was a stupid thing. It made me rethink a lot of things. How can I make sure it doesn't? And so, you look at it and go, remember, your feelings are there for a reason. And it's not for somebody to say to you, get over it. All right? You will get over it when you're good and ready. The same thing, as I said, I've got a couple of people who in my life who are going to be very lonely this Christmas because their loved ones are no longer around. Grieving takes as long as it takes. It could take years. All right? And I understand that. And I don't feel less than a friend because they might not have time for me in the next year. Yeah, I won't let them get too far away, but understand what I'm saying. I know that their minds are full of other things at the moment. And I think being a friend is saying, hey, I'm still here and I still love you dearly. Kez is saying walking away is not lowering our standards to theirs. Absolutely, Kez. And I don't know about you, but the day I learned that I don't have to reply in kind to an unkind person. Right? That does not make me a hero. When I get attacked and I attack them back, what makes me a hero in my eyes for myself is when they attack me and I can say, I can hear you're pretty upset with me. And I am so sorry. That is really an important thing. It doesn't mean I created it. It means they are really upset with me. And quite often it's because I'm not falling for their manipulation, or it's because I'm not doing what they wanted me to do. And that's okay. If I am somebody who is emotionally intelligent, I am prepared to lose a few people in my life to be able to live a life of integrity for myself. Jeannie's saying, I have a friend who has been grieving for a few years since she lost her husband suddenly. I respect that. Yes. And, you know, I think as well that some people don't realize that they will continue to grieve for the rest of their life, but it is okay to go back to living, right? That's a difficult one for people to learn, Jeannie, that it's not disrespect to the husband for you to smile again or laugh again or, and I always remind people, I knew your husband, very well, and he had a great sense of humor or whatever it is I can find. And I am pretty certain he would want you to be laughing now, not crying. And because crying is not helping him at all. But if you need to cry for the next year, I understand that as well. But don't do it for him. You are crying for yourself, not for him. You're crying because you are lonely or whatever. And that's what I try and do, is find out what is the feeling. All right. And if they are holding on to the loneliness, then maybe I can help them by getting them out and about a bit more. Or if they are crying for the lack of support, that the husband did so much for them, then maybe I can do something to help them do stuff or learn how to do stuff. But, we all hold on to these things for as long as we need to feel brave enough to move on. And if you are a victim to anything, all right, to anything, to ill health, victim to, and look at me. Here I am trying to lose weight, and suddenly I am eating a whole packet of candy. No one, 4 this month. 4 packets of candy. Complete packets. And it's just like, what am I doing to myself? But obviously something, I think it all had to do with that emotion that came up. And then I turn around and go, at least I'm not smoking, If that's what it takes for me to cope at the moment for whatever reason, then at least I'm not smoking. I had to find a positive to it. And on Tuesday, I'm going to find out whether I've paid the price for it. Because I'm going to have my A1C done. So feelings are feelings, and they're ours. They're not somebody else's. My feeling of whatever is my responsibility, not somebody else's. Nobody gives me my feelings, because my feelings come from my head and my heart. I have one friend of mine who gets really upset when a movie doesn't have a happy ending. And I say, but it's just a movie. Oh no, she'll be upset about it for days. Um, that she will actually ask me if I've binge watched a certain series, because she wants to know, does it end happily? And my answer is, normally I say, quite honestly, I can't remember. Because it's like, why would you stop watching a really good series because something nasty happened in it? And it was just like, that's your choice. But I don't want to be the person that's always telling you what's going to happen. I don't want that responsibility. And so 9 times out of 10, and quite honestly, 9 times out of 10, I can't remember. There are very few that are that memorable, right? And how about this? I have a taste for a kind of melancholy and for being an absolute victim of love. I think if I look back on my life, I would say that I have been a victim of love a lot. And I would also say I think it was one of the most difficult things for me to overcome. And maybe that is a subject for another discussion uh, about being victims to love. And so I look at it and go, feel your feelings this week and feel the victim come out this week. When life gets in your way because you're meant to go and have a booster shot and suddenly, uh, you end up with an ocular migraine instead that you can't drive. There's also that part of me. And Jody, I thank you for knowing me well enough to know that I'm a great believer that there are no coincidences. And therefore, was it possible that had I driven that day, I could have been in an accident? And that's why the migraine was there to stop me from driving. You see, I believe these things come with a reason. And I also know that if I'm feeling sick and tired, that it's time for me to look at my life and say, what am I sick and tired of and what am I going to do about it? I very rarely find it's in isolation. And so I look at my life and go, aren't I blessed, really? I have emotion. I can feel. I can be human. And I can get angry and sad and know that it's not a bad thing. It's how long do I want to stay there that controls my happiness. I find a lot of my negative emotions amuse me now. I wonder if you do. I'll see myself, talking to myself about something, oh, that's not fair. And I go, oh, nice one, Sal. I even keep count some days. That's the third time today. But I find it amusing now rather than weighing me down. And that's what I'm hoping it will do for you. So have a good week of looking at your victim mentality and know that you probably have got it more than you think. And start keeping score and see if it amuses you the way it amuses me. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you so much for being here. And Jody, thank you for being my admin and for all that you do for all of us. And thank you for not being a victim, Jody, for all the things that have been going on in your life. You are an absolute inspiration to so many of us. And I am so grateful that you are part of us and part of my life. So everybody have a wonderful Friday afternoon. I will see you this evening, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to be cooking up. I thought I might do fish for a change, seeing as it's Friday. What do you think? This is DearMamaSal saying bye-bye for now.